Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be talking all about coughs today. Just that thing we all do, sometimes without even thinking. And you know what? You guys sent in some really cool research on coughing, including an excerpt from, get this, Wikipedia.
Wow, Wikipedia.
I know, right? So we're going to dive right in. I'm so curious to learn more, especially since there's got to be more to coughing than just like a tickle in your throat.
Oh, absolutely. Coughing, it's more than just an annoyance. It's actually a vital reflex. Like you can think of it almost like a built-in security system for your body,
That's a great way to put it. So when we cough, our body's working hard trying to get rid of any irritants or stuff that doesn't belong in our lungs, right?
Exactly. It all happens in 3 phases.
3 phases.
Wow. So think of it kind of like blowing up a balloon. First, you inhale, just like taking a deep breath to inflate that balloon.
Okay, I'm with you.
Then you try to exhale forcefully, but with your glottis closed. Yeah, your glottis, it's this little flap of tissue in your throat. And when it closes, it's like pinching the neck of the balloon.
To build up pressure.
Exactly, to build up all that pressure. And then finally, the glottis opens suddenly and whoosh.
All that air rushes out, like letting go of the balloon.
You got it.
Wow. That makes it so much clearer. So it's like our body creates this powerful burst of air blasting away whatever's bothering our airways. That is so cool. But sometimes a cough can really linger, and that's usually a sign that something else is going on, isn't it?
Right. An occasional cough, it's normal. But a cough that just won't go away, that's often a sign of something else, some underlying condition.
And the research we have, it mentions infections as a super common cause for those lingering coughs. Like, we all know those culprits, right? Yeah. The common cold, bronchitis, pneumonia, But get this whooping cough, or pertussis, I think it's technically called, it's making a comeback.
Oh, wow.
And not just in kids either. Adults are getting it too.
That's true.
Yeah.
We used to think of it as just a childhood illness, but it's affecting more and more adults these days. It's so important to stay up to date on those vaccinations, especially if you're around infants or young children, because they're more vulnerable to complications.
For sure. Great reminder. Now, aside from infections, the research also mentions something called reactive airway diseases. What are those exactly?
Well, they're diseases that, they affect how your airways respond to, like different triggers. Yeah. It's like your airways are extra sensitive.
So asthma falls under that, right?
All right.
But I thought asthma was all about wheezing. Can it manifest as a cough too?
Absolutely. You can even have something called cough variant asthma, where the main symptom is, a cough, even without much wheezing.
Oh.
And then you have chronic bronchitis, often caused by smoking. It leads to inflammation and mucus buildup in the airways.
Gotcha. Okay. So we've got infections, reactive airway diseases. This next one's a curveball, though. GERD. Like heartburn. That can cause coughing.
It sounds strange, but yeah. Stomach acid can creep up your esophagus and irritate your airways, triggering a cough.
Real.
And here's the thing. Over half the people with GERD-related coughs don't even have heartburn.
So you're telling me my occasional heartburn could be the reason I've been coughing?
Wow, that's wild. I guess it really shows how important it is to pay attention to our bodies and not just dismiss a cough that won't quit.
Absolutely. Got to listen to your body,
So we've got infections, reactive airway diseases, and even heartburn. Are there any other unexpected things out there that can trigger a cough?
Definitely. Air pollution, especially particulate matter and irritant gases, can trigger coughs. Huh. Sometimes it's a foreign object lodged in the airway, though that's less common. And believe it or not, some medications, like certain blood pressure meds, can cause coughing as a side effect.
Wow, so many possibilities. It's like our bodies are sending these coded messages.
And we have to crack the code and figure out what they mean. Now, what about those coughs that seem almost, psychological? Have you ever noticed how some people seem to cough more when they're nervous?
Oh, yeah. That's a great observation.
No.
You're talking about a psedicate cough, which is like a behavioral cough, almost like a learned response to stress or anxiety.
So it's not just a physical thing. There's a mental component, too. That's fascinating. Okay, but enough about the causes. The research also mentions complications from coughing. Can a cough really lead to other problems?
It can, especially if it's really forceful and goes on for a long time. Things like fainting spells, trouble sleeping, even rib fractures. And then there are the less serious but still annoying things like, coughing so hard you vomit or get bloodshot eyes.
Okay, that definitely makes me think twice about those seemingly harmless coughs. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from the purpose of a cough to all the things that can cause it. But how do doctors even figure out what's behind a particular cough? It must be like solving a mystery.
It does involve some detective work. Doctors pay close attention to the characteristics of your cough. Is it a sudden cough, what we call acute, or has it been lingering for weeks, which would make it chronic? Is it a dry cough, or does it bring up phlegm, a productive cough? Even the sound of the cough offers clues.
Oh, so like a barking cough might point to croup, and that classic whooping sound could be pertussis. Makes you realize how important it is to really listen to those coughs. It's like each cough has its own language. But once a doctor figures out the cause, is there a one-size-fits-all treatment for coughs?
Not at all. Treatment completely depends on the underlying cause. For bacterial infections, antibiotics might be the answer. If it's asthma, inhalers can be the solution. Sometimes lifestyle changes like quitting smoking or managing GERD can make a huge difference.
Sometimes the best medicine isn't medicine at all. Good reminder for all of us. Oh, and speaking of reminders, the research mentioned that those cough suppressants we see advertised everywhere, well, they might not be as effective as we think. Plus, we all know coughing can spread germs, so it's always a good idea to cover those coughs. A tissue, your elbow, anything to keep those droplets from flying around.
Such an important public health message, especially now when we're all, more aware how easily illnesses can spread.
It's all about protecting ourselves and those around us, so we've learned a lot about coughs today. They're essential for our health, but can also signal bigger issues.
Exactly. And understanding the different types and causes of coughs can help you better understand your own health and know when to see a doctor.
It's like coughs are these messengers trying to tell us something about what's going on inside our bodies. But I'm curious, there's got to be more to it than just the causes and treatments, right? Like, how does our body actually create that forceful expulsion of air?
It's a great question. We've talked about the why behind a cough, but now let's look at the how. Think of it like looking under the hood of a car to see how the engine works.
I like that analogy. So what's the engine behind a cough?
Your diaphragm, that big muscle under your lungs, it plays a key role. When you cough, your diaphragm contracts, pushing up on your lungs.
Oh, okay.
And at the same time, your abdominal muscles tighten, squeezing your abdomen, further compressing the lungs.
It's a real team effort, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A bunch of muscles working together to create that burst of air. And it all happens so fast. During a cough, air can be expelled from your lungs at, get this, over 50 miles per hour.
50 miles per hour? Wow, that's faster than I drive on the freeway. But what I don't get is, why coughs sound so different? I mean, there's everything from a tiny, to a hacking cough, to that scary whooping sound. What gives?
That's where things get really interesting. The sound of a cough is influenced by a few things: how much air is expelled, how forcefully it's expelled, even the shape and size of your airways plays a role.
Oh, so someone with, narrower airways might have a higher-pitched cough.
Exactly. And the amount of mucus or phlegm can also affect the sound, making it sound wet or gurgly.
Oh, that makes me think about those silent coughs, the ones you can barely hear. Are those just less forceful, or is there something else going on?
That's a great point. Silent coughs can happen when the muscles involved in coughing are weak, or if there's an obstruction in the airways.
Right.
It's actually important to pay attention to those quieter coughs because they could be a sign of something that needs attention.
Wow, this is really making me rethink how I view coughing. It's not just a simple reflex. It's this whole intricate process involving muscles, airflow, even sound production.
And we can't forget about the brain's role in all this.
Oh, right, the brain.
Yeah. The cough reflex is controlled by this complex network of nerves sending signals back and forth between your airways and your brain.
So my brain's like the command center, deciding when to initiate this whole coughing sequence.
You got it. And here's where it gets even cooler. Your brain can actually learn to suppress the cough reflex in certain situations. Like if you're a singer or a public speaker, you might hold back a cough until a better time.
Our brains are so powerful. Okay, so we've come a long way from thinking of a cough as just an annoyance to understanding it as this complex interplay of muscles, nerves, and brain power. So what does this all mean for us, the everyday coughers of the world? What are the key takeaways?
Well, first things first, remember that coughing is a protective mechanism. It's your body's way of keeping your airways clear and working like they should.
Right. But we also learned that not all coughs are created equal. A cough that just won't go away could be a sign of something more serious, and it's important to get it checked out if you're concerned.
Exactly. Paying attention to the details of your cough, like how long it's been going on, what it sounds like, if it's dry or produces phlegm, can help you figure out what might be causing it.
And even though those over-the-counter cough suppressants seem tempting, they might not always be the answer. Sometimes letting your body cough it out is the best way to clear the airways.
And lastly, let's not forget good cough etiquette. Cover your mouth and nose when you cough. It's essential to keep those germs from spreading and protect the people around you.
Such an important point. It's about looking out for each other. So we've really dug deep into coughs today, haven't we? They're essential for our health, but can also point to bigger problems.
Totally. And getting to know the different types and causes of coughs can really help you understand your own health better and know when it's time to see a doctor.
It's like those coughs are little messengers trying to tell us what's up in our bodies. But I'm curious, we've talked about all the physical stuff, but what about the emotional side of coughing? Like, why do some coughs make us feel anxious or uncomfortable?
That's a great question. We've covered the science, now let's get into the feels, right? Think about it. A cough can be a sign of illness, and that naturally makes people worry.
And, a cough that hangs around can be super disruptive, messing with our sleep, our work, how we interact with others.
Yeah, it can even be embarrassing, especially if it happens at a bad time.
Oh yeah, definitely been there.
The point is, coughing can carry a social stigma, especially in some situations. That can add a whole other level of stress and anxiety.
So it's not just in our heads, there's a real social aspect to it too.
Exactly. Coughing, while totally normal, has effects that go beyond the physical. It impacts our emotions, our social interactions, even our overall well-being.
Wow, it's like coughing is a window into our inner world. It shows our physical health, but also how we're feeling emotionally at any given moment.
Exactly. That's what's so cool about this whole deep dive. We've gone from a simple reflex to this multifaceted thing with biological, psychological, and social sides.
It really makes you realize how our bodies are these complex systems, always interacting with the world around us. And even something as basic as a cough can be super revealing if we just stop and pay attention.
Speaking of paying attention, want to shift gears for a sec and talk about coughing and communication.
Ooh, I like this. We've done the science, the psychology, now we're getting into language and social cues.
Think about it. We cough to get someone's attention, to signal we're uncomfortable or don't agree, even to express humor or be ironic.
Like that little we do to clear our throat before speaking, or when we cough politely to interrupt someone.
Exactly. And then there are those coughs that are meant to disrupt things, like those loud hacks that totally throw off a meeting or a performance.
It's amazing how much a simple cough can communicate.
It's like its own nonverbal language.
Yeah, and just like any language, what a cough means can be totally different depending on the situation, the culture, and who's involved. So like a cough in a packed elevator might signal annoyance, while a cough during a heart-to-heart might show empathy or worry.
Exactly. How we interpret those coughs is shaped by all those social and cultural things.
Which makes me think about those fake coughs, the ones people do to cover up a laugh or sneeze.
Ah, yes. The strategic cough. A classic example of how we use our bodies to navigate social situations.
It's all about reading between the lines, or I guess between the coughs in this case.
And that's what's so cool about this deep dive. We've discovered all this meaning and complexity in something we usually don't even think twice about.
I know, right? We've explored the science, the psychology, the social side, even how coughs can be used to communicate.
And I bet this is just the beginning. Every cough we hear now will have this whole new layer of meaning.
We'll be listening more closely, thinking a little deeper, and maybe even appreciating those coughs a bit more.
Because, as we've learned, a cough is more than just a cough. It reflects who we are, how we feel, and how we connect with the world around us.
Well said. And on that note, dear deep divers, we've come to the end of our cough exploration, but keep the conversation going.
Keep listening, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the everyday. Until next time. Stay curious.
It really is amazing, how something so simple, like a cough, can have so many different meanings and uses.
It's true. It's like we've uncovered this hidden language we all speak without even realizing it.
You mentioned strategic coughing earlier, and it got me thinking about all those times I've, faked a cough, to cover up a sneeze or a laugh when it's quiet.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like our bodies just know how to avoid awkward situations.
Exactly. And think about it. How we react to a cough totally depends on where we are and who we're with. Like a cough in a crowded elevator, so annoying. But a cough from someone you care about, like during a serious talk, it can make you worry,
It's like we don't just hear the cough, we also think about what it means in that moment, the whole social context.
So it's not just the sound, it's everything else going on around it too, the relationship and all that.
Exactly. Even a simple bodily function like coughing is tied to our social and emotional experiences.
It's true. It's like coughing is this little peek into how we're feeling, not just physically, but emotionally too, right?
Yes. Exactly. That's what makes this deep dive so cool.
Yeah.
We've gone from this everyday thing to something with biological, psychological, and even social layers.
It's a good reminder that our bodies are these complex systems always interacting with the world. And even a simple cough can tell us so much if we just pay attention.
So true. So the next time you hear someone cough, really think about what it could mean. Is it just a reflex? Or is it something more? A sign of illness? A way of communicating a feeling? Or even a way to deal with a social situation?
Wow, food for thought. You've given us a lot to think about today. I don't think I'll ever hear a cough the same way again.
That's the amazing thing about learning, right? We see the world differently.
Well, dear deep divers, we've come to the end of our cough exploration today. But the conversation doesn't end here. Keep listening, keep thinking, and keep exploring those everyday mysteries. Until next time, stay curious.